Got some better news to share in this video. Got some goals, got some wins, and actually a couple honors here to share. So come stick around. It's time to give the spotlight to our junior hockey team with welcome back to another my Calgary Hitmen in 6 video. It's Brett Hornby here, and if you enjoy everything that I do on my YouTube channel, where I recap Calgary sports like the Flames, Hitmen, Stampeders, and the Roughnecks. I've already posted some Roughneck news, but when the cross season gets going in December, I'll be doing regular recaps of the Calgary Roughnecks when the season begins. So if you enjoy everything I do, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and I also toss in a personal vlog here and maybe some music videos and moments at a sporting event. So anyway, as I said in the opening there, I got some better news here to share with the Calgary Hitmen. Episode 3. This time I'll be talking about recapping games 7 through 12 in the 2018-19 WHL season. And I'm sorry I'm a day late for posting this video, but sometimes life happens, and nature of the industry I work in, sometimes you get these production waves where you get busy and you slow down a bit, and then you get stupid busy for 1 week, and this happens to be the stupid busy week, so apologize if I'm a day late, but getting out right now. And also I'm going to try something new here. Instead of having my big clipboard here, I actually never should have thought of this earlier, but I did everything on Google Docs here, so I had my lunch hour today. I was able to type out all my notes and that on my phone here, and I can use some of that when I paste it in my description here on my recap of the Calgary Hitmen in 6 here. So I'll bring up my Google Docs here for recapping the Calgary Hitmen and what they've done games 7 through 12, and then we'll look ahead for games 13 to 18, which that will be in episode 4. So, to bring up my doc here, let's begin. So, the Calgary Hitmen played their 7th game of the regular season here. They were finishing up their 6-game homestand here. They had 2 games at home, and then they went on a prairie road trip there. So game 7, it happened on Friday, October the 12th, at home at the Scotiabank Saddledome with a 7 p.m. puck drop. The Calgary Hitmen won that game 6-5 in a rather wild one with the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Mark Kolesnik, the captain, had 2 goals, and I should note here that the Calgary Hitmen hang on for their life here, because they were up 5-2 at one point, and they had to hang on to win 6-5. So that was definitely an issue. If you go back to my previous episode, episode 2, where the Hitmen had some leads in some games and they couldn't hold on to them, which is a big factor with their slow start. But now, if you get to game number 8, to finish off the 6-game homestand, the Calgary Hitmen took on the Regina Pats, and that game happened on Sunday, October the 14th, 2 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome. And I think that I recall that was the family fun game, so there were definitely a lot more kids out for this one. But unfortunately, the Regina Pats took this one 4-3 in overtime. And things to highlight from here, it was a back and forth game. I mean, Regina took a goal lead, Hitmen took a goal lead, but basically Regina scored quickly in overtime, and I'll just highlight that Caden Elder, the 20-year-old that they acquired at the start of the season to get 3 20-year-olds on the roster, potted in with a goal. And I actually looked this up there. For some reason, I thought that you can carry up to 5 20-year-old players after the deadline, but in fact you actually can only carry 3 on the roster. And after the deadline, you would have to release 1 if you have more than 1 on your active roster here. So Calgary has their allotment of 20-year-old players on their active roster, and Caden Elder, he's brought in to provide some offensive pop here, and actually I'll mention his name a few times in this video that he's actually started fitting in with the Calgary Hitmen. So these first two games in this segment wrapped up their 6-game homestand. So now they go on a prairie road trip here, starting on Game 9. This happened on Tuesday, October the 16th. The Calgary Hitmen took on, right now, most recently ranked the #1 team in the CHL, the whole system, the Prince Albert Raiders. And this, unfortunately, was the really ugly game on this segment, as a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Art Hauser Center. As I mentioned, the Prince Albert Raiders are the top-ranked team, not only in the WHL, but the whole CHL network. The Calgary Hitmen lost this one 8-4. It was a pretty bad score, but all things considered, I mean, the Hitmen are still a pretty young building team that I think would be just happy to make the playoffs against a World Cup contender. But I'd say the Prince Albert Raiders had pretty much a balanced scoring attack that game, because no one really stood out with multi-point game. And looking at the summary there were definitely a lot of penalties dished out at the end of the buzzer, so it definitely got ugly at the end there. But this was the only ugly game on the this 6-game segment. I mean, the Hitmen have been outscored, I think, 12-4 against the Prince Albert Raiders here this early in the season. So, but they didn't have much time to sulk on it, or had a quick turnaround to move on from it, because in Game 10 on Wednesday, October the 17th, the Calgary Hitmen took on the Saskatoon Blaze with a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Saskatoon Center, and the Calgary Hitmen won that one 5-4 in overtime. So definitely got another win there and some goals here. What to highlight with this game is that the Calgary Hitmen were actually down 0-2 in the first couple minutes of the game, and came back and scored 4 in a row, and and then they won in overtime after allowing a late one when the Saskatoon Blades tied it up. And a couple individual efforts here. Josh Prokop, the right winger, had 2 goals, including the overtime winner. So that's definitely a good bounce back after being slashed by the Prince Albert Raiders the night before. So anyway, let's move on to Game 11 on this prairie road trip. As that happened on Friday, October the 19th, they took on the Moose Jaw Warriors, and that game had a 7 p.m. puck drop at Mosaic Place, which I actually walked. Personally, I walked by that arena. I didn't walk inside it, but it's not too far from the historic downtown right in Moose Jaw. It's definitely actually a nice, charming little city, little Chicago. It's nicknamed in Moose Jaw. Anyway, let's bring back my notes here. But the Calgary Hitmen won this game convincingly 5-1, and in Moose Jaw, and that was what. Worth noting here is that actually that was the first time the Calgary Hitmen have beaten the Moose Jaw Warriors since 2013, or 2015 I should say, so the first time in 3 years. So that's definitely getting a monkey off the back, and even more so on the road here. What to highlight here was that it was another balanced scoring attack by the Calgary Hitmen. Mike Plexic, our captain, had 2 goals and assists leading the way. So this prairie road trip has definitely been maybe what the doctor ordered. And then the last game of this 6-game segment, Game 12, happened the next night on Saturday, October 20th. They made the long bus ride to Brandon, Manitoba, which is the furthest eastern city in the Western Hockey League. And the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Brandon Wheat Kings. That game started at 7:30 puck drop at West Toba Place. And the Calgary Hitmen won that game 4-3 in overtime. So they're on a 3-game winning streak here as we close out the next 6-game segment here. What stood out for this game is that Mark Kolesnik, once again the captain, had 2 goals, including the overtime winner. And he already has 10 goals on the season in 12 games. So that's a pretty prolific pace there. So the Calgary Hitmen, after going 6-0 in preseason with 3 overtime wins, which the practice getting wins in overtime is coming hand in this segment. Unfortunately, they were 5-1 in the first 6 games, but they definitely rebounded back big time with a 4-1-1 stretch here for episode 3 for the next 6 games. So now, speaking of the next 6 games, let's look ahead to the schedule here. This would be games 13 to 18, which we'll be covering that in episode 4 here. So for game 13, the Calgary Hitmen finish up their 5-game, I call it prairie road trip, where they spent some time in Saskatchewan and went to Brandon, Manitoba. But now on Tuesday, October the 23rd, which is tomorrow, when I'm recording this, the Calgary Hitmen will play in Red Deer, 7 o'clock puck drop. And then on game 14, they come home for a couple. Then they come home for a couple games. With game 14, I may actually personally catch this game myself. This is Roughnecks night, and with a season ticket holder of the Calgary Roughnecks, I can get a ticket for $5. But it's a Friday night game on Friday, October 26th at 7 p.m. The Calgary Hitmen will be taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. And what they're planning on doing for this game is that if you ever gone to a lacrosse game, the Calgary Roughnecks music is playing throughout during the action. I mean, normally at a hockey game, you get music playing in between puck drops. So once the puck drop, the music's killed, and no music is played until there's a stoppage in play or a goal. But maybe they'll play the goal song for the Calgary Roughnecks. But we'll see how the week plays out for me. If I'm up for going out on a Friday night. I mean, I'm also conflicted with the Calgary Stampeders. They're on the road. They're playing that night, and they're still in the thick of that playoff race. So that's game 14. So game 15 will happen the next night on Saturday, October the 27th. Or actually, no, yeah, 27th. They'll be taking on the Saskatoon Blades. Actually, no, excuse me. Actually, it's Sunday, October the 28th. They'll be taking on the Saskatoon Blades at 4 p.m. I was thinking the Flames were playing that Saturday, so it's Sunday, October 28th, 4 p.m. Saskatoon Blades at the Scotiabank Saddledome. So they had a quick 2-game or 3-game homestand here, because afterwards, on Friday, November the 2nd at 7 p.m., this will be game 16. They'll be taking on the Medicine Hat Tigers. So I'll recap this 3-game homestand. Here is at game 14, Friday, October 26th at 7 p.m. They'll be taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. That's the Roughnecks night. Game 15, Sunday, October 28th, 4 p.m. start. Saskatoon Blades at Scotiabank Saddledome. And then game 16, Friday, November 2nd, 7 p.m. They'll be taking on the Medicine Hat Tigers. And then, actually, they'll have one more game at home here. Game 17. There'll be some afternoon delight here on Saturday, November 3rd, 1:30 p.m. puck drop time. They'll be taking on the Red Deer Rebels again. And then afterwards, the next night for Game 18, which that will be the 6 games that I'll recap in Episode 4, will be on Sunday, November the 4th, 6 p.m. This will be at the Medicine Hat Tigers. So, yeah, the Calgary Hitmen, they have actually a 4-game homestand here after they finish off this current road trip in Red Deer. And then they play 4 at home, and then they go to Medicine Hat. Forever. This will be the games I'll recap in Episode 4. So yeah, as I mentioned here, as if you add up both the first 6 games and the next 6 games, the Calgary Hitmen are 4-6-2 for 10 points in the standings after 12 games. Right now that puts them 5th in the Central Division, which is they're ahead of the Kootenay Ice. But they're also 5 points behind the Red Deer Rebels. And I mentioned the Red Deer Rebels a couple times in these next stretch of games, so maybe the Calgary Hitmen can play some catch-up here and get closer to the top of the Central Division here. And as I mentioned, they're on a 3-game winning streak here. So, let's go over some player numbers here. Go over the top 3 scorers right now. Right now, the captain, Mark Kolesic, in 12 games. He has 10 goals, 7 assists for 17 points, which is pretty much a 1.5 pace here right now. Then the next guy who's on the second in scoring is Jake Kriske. He has 12 games. He has 7 goals, 5 assists for 12 points, so he's on the point-a-game pace. And then the third guy is Josh Prokop. In 11 games, he has 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points, the right winger. And then Prokop, you make note of that name because there's another Prokop on this name, and they're actually brothers. So, actually, I'll get to the goalie stats first. Right now, Karl Stankowski has been the starting goalie. He's played in 8 games. He has a 2-4 record. For his goals against average is still low on the high side at 4.11 and a save percentage of 868. But there's definitely a lot more scoring in junior hockey when you try to compare that to the NHL. But you know, goalies always seem longer to develop as well. So now, as I mentioned in the opening here, I got a couple honors to highlight here. First, Luke Prokop, who got recently named to Team Canada World Challenge, who is the younger brother, right winger Josh Prokop. So congratulations to him. So he's going to maybe try out and maybe make the World Junior team. And also, I should also mention that Mark Kalistic, who got named recently the WHL Player of the Week for the Calgary Hitmen. He definitely had a couple 2-goal games. An overtime winner here this past week, so he's definitely been a big part of the recent turnaround and recent success for the Calgary Hitmen to be getting closer to being back to 500. So that's my Calgary Hitmen in 6 for episode 3. If you make it to the end here, I appreciate your time, and you know, I'd like to give light to all the Calgary sports teams here. So I mean, if you enjoy everything that I do on my YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe. You know, as I mentioned, cover the Hitmen, the Flames under the Dome. I'll be covering the Roughnecks, recapping the Rough House under the Dome when season starts, and then of course the Calgary Stampeders and McMahon. So any planned content I have here as we approach the end of October here, this will likely be it till the final weekend of October here, when unless something major breaks here. But planned content I have after this video is there'll be on my Calgary Stampeders this month, where I'll cover the October portion of the 2018 CFL season, and I also do have a couple personal vlog topics in mind that I'll decide to put a couple out. I'll put at least one out this upcoming weekend. Hopefully I'll have time to be able to do all the videos, but expect a couple personal vlogs and my Calgary Stampeders this month here to wrap up October here as we approach Halloween and approach November. And personally for me, November is a big month as the race for the Grey Cup is on. So as I always say, I'll see you at the next video.